searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. Just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me.
Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the Post Bell podcast. This is going to be on the Hardcore Sports Network, Sleeper Sports Media, presented by me, Nick Weitoish. The wonderful name was given, the idea of the name was given to me by the one and only Mitch, Orange Cassidy's best friend. So I can only imagine that he was getting whispers in his ear saying from Orange Cassidy to give me this fantastic name. So I can't wait to have him on for the first time, as he just joined me on my 69th episode of my general overall podcast where I talk about anything and everything. This one will be exclusively for reviewing SmackDown, and I'm joined by my co-host for the watch along earlier tonight, Earl. It's been so long since I've seen you. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's been a long time, Nick. Me and Nick usually do AEW Dynamite. He had power problems. He had this kind of problem. He had friends to go out with last week. So we haven't seen each other in a long time. It's been over 2 years. No, I'm kidding, folks. I'm playing. But no, it's been a hot minute. It was a good show tonight. It was good to be back with Nick and doing Friday Night SmackDown. And we also gained a new international viewer, so we want to thank them for that. It was great. It was a great show. We did the best we could, and we got a lot out of it. And it was good for what it was, as I always like to say. And it was a good show from Toronto, Canada. We're getting ready for the Money in the Bank. And I had a good time tonight. It was great.
Always do. We always do. So Money in the Bank, the whole weekend, they started talking about this from whenever they announced Money in the Bank was coming to Canada. And then, it started with, Money in the Bank and SmackDown, as they usually do. They bundle the shows in the same arena, back-to-back nights, similar to, bigger events like they started to do with SmackDown being overseas in France, in Saudi Arabia, and wherever else they go, and now it's turned into a whole weekend of SmackDown, Money in the Bank, Heat Wave. So it's just it's showing that the WWE is growing at a rapid pace, and they did not disappoint again tonight. As you said, the crowd looked packed, and we can only imagine what another technically another international crowd will be tomorrow, and how Toronto will fill themselves in with the competing of Lyon, France, and Scotland. So I mean, just from right off the start, we had I labeled it in my notes as a men's Money in the Bank summit, dating back to a couple years ago whenever they had everyone on the ladders. That was I always see that clip pop up, and I always enjoyed it, with Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens and Jericho and everyone being on the ladders and everything like that. So Cesaro was in it. And it was a continuation of the kickoff show, which had both all 12 competitors, men's and women's. We just saw the men's do this, kind of have all 6 come out and state their case and everything, as you had said. So they did pretty much the same thing on the kickoff show. But what did this do for you in who you have winning? I know I saw a lot on Twitter of McIntyre basically went out and recreated whenever Samoa Joe came out and kind of roasted everyone. With what he said to Jey Uso. He questioned how he was even able to get over the border. So what are your thoughts on the opening segment with Uso coming out and then McIntyre and then so on and so forth?
I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine because in they stated their case like the presidency of the United States. You know, like they go come out and they tell you exactly what they're going to do for the people. Well, they came out to the people. They came out to the people and they said, why are they going to win Money in the Bank? I'm on the same wavelength as everyone else with Jay Uso winning, and I don't have a problem with him winning the Money in the Bank. I think what's going to happen here, like I said in the stream tonight, I believe the ending would be you have McIntyre trying to go for that briefcase, and of course, you know that Punk will come out and he will cost him again. He'll climb that ladder and he'll cost him again that match. I could see that happening. It could be that McIntyre wins. They have McIntyre as the odds-on favorite to win the Money in the Bank. We have to see, but it was intriguing to see all of them come out on the SmackDown stage and give their reasons why they think or why they believe that they will win this Money in the Bank ladder match. I'm very intrigued to see how this match ends, and I am going to be very intrigued to see if later on in the night in the Damian Priest match, are we going to get a cash in? Are we going to get an early cash in? That's something that we need to expound upon, and that's something that we need to think about as the night goes on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So Eli Myers is here. It must be a new
Uh,
subscriber. It doesn't look like it's from my channel. So if you're watching on the network or Earl's channel, thank you for watching and tuning into this
yeah,
first
I know.
episode.
Hi, Eli. How are you? Thank you so much. And please make sure you
Um,
subscribe to Nick and all our channels. Okay, Risha. Thank you.
the Yeet
Sorry.
yeah chants back and forth were great. Yeah, that was taking
Yeah.
over the kickoff show as well. It was great. They so on the kickoff show, like I said, it kind of continued the same thing. It was funny. They brought LA Knight out first, and the first thing he said was, so they brought him out first, and the crowd went crazy for him as they usually do. And then Michael Cole introduced everyone else, and then the first thing, or he goes, "I'm going to go to LA Knight first," and he said, "Michael Cole, I don't give a damn what you're about to ask me. I know it. I know what you're going to ask me anyway." And then he goes, and I know what everyone's gonna say. And he went down the line and he looked at Carmelo Hayes and he said, "You're gonna be Mello in the bank." And then it went to Chad Gable. "You're gonna be Gable in the bank." And then it went to McIntyre. "You're gonna be McIntyre in the bank." And then it went to oh my gosh, who was I'm trying to think of Uso, and he said, "You're gonna be Yeet in the bank." And then the crowd went crazy. And then he went to Andrade sitting next to him and he said, "I don't give a damn what you're going to say because I'm probably not going to understand it anyway, so it doesn't even matter." And then he went on to say, "I've been Money in the Bank since day damn one." Yeah. So, his usual, "I'm going to win it." Yeah. With everybody, I'm going to show why I'm Money in the Bank since day damn one, with everybody saying LA Knight. And then the crowd ate it up, went crazy. Um, Another thing was when Uso came out, I had chills from it, but he came out and the whole crowd was just doing doing the
Yes, the
yeet and
yeet,
everything.
yeet, yeah, yeah.
And when Mello came out, he got a big pop for that. And then McIntyre came out, of course, and was miserable as cat piss as he usually is.
Oh, I never
Um,
heard of that. I got to use that. Uh,
Um, Michael Cole was kind of stepping on eggshells when he asked McIntyre if he could ask him the questions and everything. He called him a hypocrite, explained why he's been a hypocrite and everything. And
yeah.
McIntyre, of course, had to threaten Cole and say blah blah blah, threaten me or blah blah blah, where you stand, blah blah blah, whine whine whine. And then, like you said about the cash in, McIntyre did call his shot. He said, "When I win Money in the Bank, and I will win, I'm going to cash in on the same night on Damian Priest and walk out as World Heavyweight Champion." So the cash in on the same night is not usual for the men's. It's more so for the women's. So that is definitely something to think about and to have. I believe they showed 42% of the women's winners cash in on that night. And they have, I mean, So there's been a couple instances where it hasn't been at on that night with Carmella holds the longest for the women and waiting to cash in. And then you have Io Sky did it at SummerSlam or whatever. So it's going to be fun to see if both the men and women cash in on that night, or if they go and they hold it and wait. But yeah, I mean the men's Money in the Bank, I'm excited for. I agree. Jey Uso definitely I think should win. We got Mitch in here. What's up, Mitch?
Mitch, what's up, Mitch? How you doing? Long
Yeah,
time no see in the chat.
hit the like button, guys. Thank you, Mitch. And then so that was the summit, as I called it, and then we had Bailey backstage, and once again getting attacked by Piper Niven, and then goes into Nick Aldis's office and gets the match made for later in the night. She was being interviewed by Kathy Kelly, which we then did see again later in the show. What do you think about Kayla Braxton's departure, and what was Madison Square Garden like whenever Cody called her out to give her a farewell in the world's most famous arena?
I thought that was a classy move, to do that. I thought that was a classy move to bring her out, because she had a very short segment on when Paul Heyman was running in backstage, and she stuck the microphone
Yep.
in Paul Heyman's face, and Heyman didn't want to talk to her at all.
Yep.
And I was like, don't tell me they're just gonna cut her off like that, and that's how she's gonna end. That's tacky.
Yeah.
That's tacky.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, she's leaving the company, but you don't have to be that tacky. So I thought that was a very classy move. Kayla is fun. She's a ball of fun backstage. I'm not sure what her next adventure is or what she's gonna do, but I really wish her the best of luck in her endeavors because she is a good backstage reporter. She gets to the heart of the matter. She lets you all know exactly who's injured and what's going on and what medical personnel is doing with the wrestler backstage. She's always up with that, and I love the segments for her and Heyman. They are absolutely entertaining and they're funny. They're
Yes.
funny, and it's not over the top. It's not cheesy or anything like that. She just wants to get. She's just doing her job, and she's doing her job, and she wants to know exactly what's going on with the bloodline. I have nothing but the best for Kayla Braxton. I think she's great.
There was one thing that I agree with everything you said. There was a video that I saw, that I laughed at whenever I did see it scrolling through Twitter. The caption was Paul Heyman finishes his story with Kayla. Hold on one second.
Oh,
He comes over and scares her, recorded before SmackDown on June 28th. And of course, I'm not going to play the audio because we'll probably get a claim
right.
for it. But you can see Heyman happy as he scared Kayla instead of him scaring her, or her scaring him. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Everything, it did feel rushed with her final segment and everything like that. So it was pretty cool that Cody did that for her. Um, and who knows what she's gonna do? She did shut down any AEW rumors that she would be a WWE
Right,
for lifer if she were to do
right.
anything else in wrestling, which I do. I love that. So maybe one day we get her back. But she will be fine in whatever she does next. But we had
Yeah,
so after that, leading up to that match being made, Chelsea Green came out and interrupted Bailey, and I don't know if I heard it right, but I think she was saying something about her being the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion, and she called it the SmackDown Women's Championship, and
right.
so it shows that they're still continuing the lineage of the titles before it, and I thought that was pretty cool. That was a note that I took. And then I could have done with more just the backstage segment than them actually making this match, but I guess this was a way to incorporate the women for the Money in the Bank. So, I mean, what did you think? I know it was made official, but then it was later in the card. But what did you think of the match and Nia Jax, Tiffany, and Io all being involved? And then Michin returning, setting up Michin versus Nia Jax next week, and then also announced they didn't have anything to do with this or anything, but it was announced that Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews will take on Angel and Berto next week.
I thought the women match was fine. I thought the Piper Niven match was all right. Again, like I said, and I've been saying this for months and years and over again with different people. The women's division needs a lot of help. It needs a lot of help. It needs a lot of heavy lifting with the audience because the international audience likes the women's division, but the American audience is just not. They're just not invested in it. They're just not invested in it, and they stay quiet. They stay absolutely quiet. Even on Raw, they do it. And when I'm doing the Raw batches, and it breaks my heart because I grew up, in the women's division. I grew up in the tag team division, and I grew up in the men's division. But it just breaks my heart to know that some of these, like now, some of the matches that you've seen in the women's division. I don't mean to get off the tangent here, but it's just some of the women in the matches. Some of them have stellar matches. But the thing is that if you have a stellar match, you need some crowd participation in it, and it takes
Yes.
the fun out of it when you don't have the crowd participation. It takes the fun out of it because it's like, why are you doing this? Like, why are we sitting here? Why are we watching this? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we entertaining the audience? Why are we putting the audience to sleep? It's just these things just roll out in my head. These things are just rolling in my mind, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, damn, it's like if Jay would just like the international and just get behind these women and do it. Yes, I understand we were spoon fed 3 minute matches. That is not something good. And now that the women's matches are getting more light, the crowd is just not. Because they were spoon fed 3 minute matches
Yeah. Yeah.
with the last regime.
Yeah.
That's a problem. But the match itself, getting back to the match itself was fine. I had no issues with it because you had the women prominent. That's going to be in the Money in the Bank. The brawl on the floor, I didn't mind that. That was all right. As long as they didn't interfere in the match, that was fine. Bailey picks up the win in the match. That was fine. Nia Jax coming from behind attacking Bailey. That needs to set up that feud going into SummerSlam. So you need to do that. You can't have Nia Jax off of TV and then she goes to challenge. But we can't invest in a kind of match like that. So they needed to insert her in there. So again, that's fine. So Triple H killed two birds with one stone, so to speak, in the booking. So
Yeah, yeah, and the women's division I think will get better over time. They can only do so much week to week. They definitely could
yeah,
do more. That's for sure. In how they go about doing the women's division completely. It was cool to see Michin come back, not just continue to be on NXT. Same with Corbin and Cruz finally getting the TV time. I think the last 2 weeks in a row, or 2 out of 3 weeks, something like that. Corbin has been on TV, or give or take. And then same thing with Angel Garza just re-signing with WWE for 3 years and now getting on to TV, the following week with that tag match. And then Michin versus Nia Jax, it, like you said, it keeps her on TV, leads into a mini feud maybe to build her up to SummerSlam. I wouldn't want to see her just go in and squash Michin and then have her just end up back in NXT. Um,
right,
but Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, there's something there with maybe them as a tag team, unless Tiffany Stratton is just being buddy buddy with her with Nia Jax for protection, and
right,
then she wins Money in the Bank, and then Nia Jax wins the title from Bailey. Which at that point, I don't have an issue if Nia Jax would win the title then. Um, and then you have an interesting dynamic of Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax with their seemingly friendship with the briefcase and whatever they do there. Yeah, so this was okay. I could have had it been somebody else. I would have um I just the first one, it was kind of like, okay, it's in Scotland, that's why she's getting the match. Like I said, it was a baby feud,
right,
a baby build, and I just didn't care for it. So this one was kind of like the same
right.
thing. It was just like, okay, I guess you're just filling time. Would be funny if Tiffany cashes in on Nia after Nia wins the title at SummerSlam. I definitely see that. I could see that happening. I could definitely see it happening, or I could see Tiffany winning and cashing in the same night. Um, and then it's setting up Tiffany and Nia at SummerSlam instead of Bailey and Nia. Also, it's interesting, but Charlotte Flair did post a video of her in a hotel. I'm assuming she's there in Toronto with Andrade, so
Okay, well, she's on her way back.
maybe we see Charlotte Flair return at some point. Um, I mean, that excites me just because of Tiffany Stratton having a title, Charlotte Flair coming back. I don't want to see Charlotte win, but I would love to see Charlotte put Tiffany over in her first match as champion, after, or I guess second match after Nia. Um and I mean at that point it kind of does suck because if Tiffany does win Money in the Bank, you and cashes in on tomorrow night, then you have to kind of give her the win at SummerSlam because there's no way they're going to waste the Money in the Bank for being champion for a month. So maybe if she doesn't cash in, that can kind of steer us one way. Um, but yeah, the mini summit, I guess you could say, was great. It did everything that it needed to do, and then that led us into the other. Well, I think this was before the Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly, and I mean,
Pretty boring.
pretty boring. That is true. I'm like I said, I'm pretty much asleep anytime they come onto my screen. So I was pleasantly surprised with tonight in not only did we not get any censorship from Fox, but the tag team wrestling was great, both in the main event and this one, and also Jade and Bianca picking up a win over Candice LeRae and Indy
Right.
Hartwell. What did you think of the Profits and Pretty Deadly for Pretty Deadly coming back last week and then working their way into a match and surprisingly not being as corny as they usually are?
I mean, again, the tag match was fine for what it was. I'm not gonna jump up and down about it. I mean, it was good for what it was. Pretty Deadly is pretty boring at this point. They have no direction whatsoever for this team. You don't know what they're going to do with them. First, they're doing vignettes, then you put them in matches that make no sense. The feud makes no sense. To me, I just think that they're there for a filler. I think that that's all they are fillers. They're not really there for anything else. Do I see them winning a tag team title match? I don't think so. I don't see that in the crystal ball. But I could be wrong about that. But I just find them there. As far as the Prophet is concerned, they need a push. The Prophets need a push desperately. They need a push somewhere, but not the tag team titles. I think we've done with that sale. I think we're done with that ship, and I think that ship has sailed. I think they need some kind of a splitment, some kind of thing, some kind of separate something going on with them. I think a splitment is something that's needed here, especially with Montez Ford. I think he is great in the ring, great athleticism. I could see him going after the Intercontinental title at some point. Some kind of push. But the Profits need something to get them going, and it's not the tag team titles again. They need a splitment.
I I agree. I think there was like a when Montez Ford had his match with Roman for his title, what feels like forever ago now. It was like he was ready to be on his own and everything, and then they kept them together. But I mean, I wouldn't want to see them turn on one another and do
No,
that
no,
do
no,
that
no, no,
route.
no, 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 no,
Just
no,
end
no.
up, just split them via the next draft them to one brand and the other one on the other. But yeah, I mean this pairing with Bobby Lashley isn't working. They paired him up with Lashley and BFAB, and are they heels? Are they baby faces? That one week it's one, the next week it's another. Um,
Right.
but and I think either one could shine being on their own. Dawkins has had a couple singles matches, one off. where Ford hasn't come out to the ring with him. So I think they both could shine. Being on their own and everything like that, but I definitely think that they need to get away from Lashley. With they were doomed right from the start with this because of their first feud being with AOP and Karrion Cross and whatever else
Yeah.
that mess was. Um,
Um, can
Eli
I?
Myers. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. No, no. Before you read the comment, Nick, I really want to ask you something. I want to see if you agree with me with this. What if we had the Profits in a tag team match against DIY at SummerSlam, and the stipulation is the Profits if the Profits lose the match, they must split as a tag team, and
Okay.
that means that they will lose the match. DIY retains the titles. They get the split, and this is how you split them up, and this is how you book them in individual programs.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. It worked with the Iconics whenever they did that a couple years ago. They did it with Liv Morgan and Ruby Riot with the Riot Squad, I believe. Um, so yeah, I mean that definitely is an option for that, and it would be sooner than waiting for the draft to come back around. But yeah, I mean that's a great idea. I definitely agree with that. Eli says, I would love to see Solo or Sokoa versus Cody in a Bloodline Rules match at SummerSlam. Roman returns, spears Sokoa, and allowing Cody to retain the title. Uh, a Bloodline Rules for the first one. I don't think you need that right off the bat. I think the Bloodline Rules thing was just to add the chaos that we got at WrestleMania. Also, it was no different than the tribal combat that we got or at SummerSlam, before that. So
Right.
they can do that, that if without a stipulation on it. It would be kind of full circle for Roman to return and cost Solo a title whenever Solo
Right.
debuted and helped Roman retain a title and everything like that. You could definitely start it that way. Um, I'm anxious to see but then again, Roman's probably gonna return as a babyface. So I don't think he's gonna come back and cost anyone any titles, as we said earlier on the watch along. But you could do it a couple different ways. I mean, Solo. We're gonna get to the final vignette part, main event. And what Solo said when he called out Roman for that. Um, but Eli, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Yep, across all the
Yeah.
channels, Facebooks, YouTubes, Twitters, even over on the Twitch, everything. Um,
Yeah. But to get back to what Eli is saying, I think that the bloodline rules, you don't want to overuse that gimmick. You don't want to overuse it. It was fine for WrestleMania for the main event. It was fine for what it was.
yeah,
I don't want to see it keep being used like that because then it's gonna get cheesy. It really is gonna get cheesy, very quickly. I think the Bloodline Rules match that was fine for what it was at WrestleMania, but let's not use it in every Bloodline match. Let's not use that. Let's not do that because that's going to get weary. That's going to get weary on the audience very quickly, and we don't need to see that. It's fine for what it is right now. What's going on with this faction? It's fine.
exactly. Yeah, and we still don't know if that is actually the road that they're going to go down with Solo versus Cody at SummerSlam. I still think there's a possibility that Randy turns and
Hmm.
RKO's Cody, and we set that up for SummerSlam. Which it seems like at least to me on Twitter, people were wanting that over. They were wanting that if they couldn't get Rock and Cody at SummerSlam, which The Rock is hurt. So that's likely not on the table. So people were wanting Randy versus Cody as the number two, and then I think Solo versus Cody as the number three. Match in the dream booking or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, we got more on Solo and his sight being set on Cody with what he said in the main event in the final vignette to close out SmackDown.
Right.
But that was the Profits and Deadly, and Pretty Deadly. They were great for the tag match that it was. And then you go to the women's tag division, which I thought it was funny. Um, DIY won tag titles and they won a tag match, but then the rest of the way, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, they lost a tag match. So it's like, could we ever see both teams of the way be tag champs at the same time, and Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell actually be taken serious as a tag team, and not just go out there and lose to the defending champs. And also, when Theory does turn face and splits from Grayson Waller, is Theory going to go back to the way, to Johnny, to Gargano, to Ciampa, to everyone, and they reunite that group, which could then be another group to throw into the Survivor Series conversation with either War Games or with the traditional Survivor Series, which I had said about on the watch along.
That's a good question.
But what were your? I mean, you had said they're looking to. Well, they said in the interview they're looking to get back on track to. I'm assuming get back to their tag titles, and then you said about the rematch clause. Now I haven't heard them like use that phrase on TV lately, like in the last like couple of years. So I didn't know if that was still officially a thing, or if it's just like they can kind of just use it as a way, like, okay, like you, especially like they lost it in a triple threat or whatever it was, they can say like we didn't really lose. And I always see that route being used, but never like a champion loses and then says I'm using my rematch clause. Like they never really point out if that's like what is officially in the contract or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what were your thoughts overall with Jade and Bianca continuing to be a tag team, winning another tag match, and how this gets them back onto a path to reclaim their tag titles, and could this happen potentially by SummerSlam? Do you see the turn happening before and over them getting the titles back, and then leading into a feud the whole way, to the Rumble, to WrestleMania, to and then a trilogy at Backlash or something maybe?
Yeah. Well, that's a lot to unpack there. Yeah. I think what happened here is that, first of all, the phrase that they use, that we're going to invoke our rematch clause, I think that has been phased out, because that was something Mr. McMahon liked to use in promos. He liked to use those in promos. I don't think Triple H likes using that anymore in the promos. I think that's an old antiquated phrase to use when you lose your title and everything like that. So they don't use that. I just use that phrase because I'm old school, but I'm cool. That's just me. That's
Yes,
just me.
yes.
But it's just that I think that they will have eventually their rematch against Elba Fire and Ella Dawn. The thing is that I don't think they're going to lose Elba Fire and Ella Dawn. I don't think they're going to lose the title. But I think what will happen is, I think we're going to get a rematch at SummerSlam. They're going to be in the match, and for some reason Bianca accidentally knocks Jade out, or something. Jade gets upset at the whole thing, and she gives it a Jaded on the floor or something, and she throws Bianca back in the ring, and Elba Fire to pick up the victory, and they retain the title. And that will bleed into the next time we go to SmackDown, and then they're going to start that feud, and then they lit the fuse, and then they're going to keep going until the next pay-per-view, and have these two ladies battle it out. So I think that that's something that I think that that's the road I believe that they would be traveling on, because that would make sense. That would make sense.
Yeah. Yep.
Go
I
ahead,
agree with
Nick. Go
that.
ahead.
I agree with that 100%. Do you think whatever they, so you can see it being on a pay-per-view other than a WrestleMania, and maybe like you just continue the feud over multiple shows, over multiple pay-per-views, premium live events, and then the final one being at WrestleMania, because that has
Yeah.
WrestleMania written
Oh yes,
all over
absolutely,
it. That has
absolutely, absolutely, one
that
thousand
has
percent, absolutely.
WrestleMania written all over it, because you that would be Jade's first singles match at WrestleMania, if not her first, or no, I guess she was on 40, so it would be her first singles match. Bianca Belair is undefeated at WrestleMania, so it would be Jade's first match against Bianca's undefeated streak. What do you do? Yeah, that has take my money written all over it.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. But as I said before, I'll say it again. You need to build it up slowly. So this is what I
Yep.
think that they should do at this point. They should build this up slowly. Don't rush it. Don't make sloppy mistakes with the feud. Don't do that, because critical elements will be missed in the match and the feud, and that's something you don't want happen with the audience because they won't be invested in it. You have to build it up slowly. So this is what I'm thinking. Like I said, SummerSlam, you have them go after Elba Final Dawn for the tag team titles. She goes and bumps Jade by accident outside of the ring by accident. Jade gets upset. She don't like being embarrassed. She grabs Bianca on the outside. She gives her the Jade in on the floor, tosses her back in. Elba Final Dawn pick up the victory. They pick up the scraps, and they retain the title. That will bleed into the next SmackDown where they accused each other of doing nefarious things. Jade goes and attacks her and does everything. And yeah, so that is something you need to start putting the powder before the TNT and the yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I'm tracking with
Mhm.
what you're saying. It all makes sense,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
it has money written all over it, and as Triple H said in the WrestleMania documentary, which I mean, I'm sure we can talk about that for a good bit. He puts in the destination, and the GPS takes him and gets him there. So that has Mania written all over it. And I mean, he in the documentary. I don't. Did you get a chance to watch it yet? I know I'd asked you Wednesday on Dynamite, um, but did you get a chance to watch the WrestleMania, the behind the scenes doc yet?
Um, yeah, I saw some of it. I didn't see all of it. I did see some of it. I know that some of the fans did not like it. I know
Yeah,
there were some people that did not like it at
yeah,
all. They were not pleased with the presentation of it. I again, like I said, listen, it is what it is. You can't get any better than what it is. When they were talking about The Rock and inserting him in WrestleMania and all of this stuff,
yep,
he made it must see television. He made it. He made it must see television because, as I said before, and I said this many months ago, while we were doing WrestleMania, we were building up towards WrestleMania. You never knew what he was going to say or do on each show. So it made you watch. That's why the ratings went through the roof. That's why they sold out all those 18 consecutive months that they were rolling into every town. Because you never knew what The Rock and the Bloodline were going to be up to. You never knew what they were going to say. You never knew who they were going to do it to. And you never knew who you were going to say it to. So I didn't have a problem with the documentary. I didn't have a problem with it. I know some people did. I just didn't. I just didn't. From the stuff that I saw, I did not. I didn't mind it at all. I didn't
yeah,
mind it at all. But that's some fans. I mean, I don't know what you all want. I don't know. I don't know what a wrestling fan wants anymore because if it's rushed too fast, they don't like it. If it's too little, they don't like it. So what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? That is
yeah,
something that I am stumped with some fans. I
yeah,
don't know about
yeah,
you, Nick, but to me, I bang my head against the wall sometimes with some of these fans because they don't know what they want. If it's too little, it's too little. If it's too much, it's too much. So what's in the middle?
yeah. Yeah, there was a lot more hate than what I thought it was going to be. One of the commentators at 3LW, which is the indie promotion that I help out at sometimes, he was commenting on a thread of mine on Twitter saying like, or it might have been from Martina's thread, and it was like he made a good point. People asked for a behind the scenes look, and that's what they gave us, and now people are mad about it. So it's like it's what like you said, what is going to make everyone happy? Everyone, went on and was saying that it was done to make Triple H and The Rock look really good,
No,
and
that's not what
that
it
that
was
was it. They
about.
had The Rock sit down and say that it was his choice
Oh,
ultimately to go back to Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania. It was The Rock's choice to do the final boss. It was The Rock's choice to do this and whatever.
yes.
And so people are just
Let
gonna
me
be
just,
are just gonna be pissed. So
yeah,
go ahead.
and let me. I'm sorry to cut you off, Nick. Let me just jump on what you just said. He sat down with Triple H. He sat down with Triple H and Cody Rhodes, and they mapped out what they were going to do and how they
Yep.
were going to do it because they heard about the backlash of the fans. Okay, so they had to do what they had to do. If you didn't like it, that's too bad. That's just too bad. They had to do what they had to do because they did not want their revenue to go down the toilet by nobody showing up at WrestleMania. They didn't want that to happen. And they didn't want the build up to WrestleMania to go down the toilet on what they had in the books and what they had in the plans. So if you guys did not like what was being produced or what was being said or what it's just too bad. It's just too, you just have to live with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the behind the scenes look. Through the whole from start to finish. I didn't think anyone was built up to look better than the other. I wish
No.
Roman and Seth both would have talked more. It might have
Yeah.
focused on Triple H and Rock, but I mean, they're two of the ones that are pretty much making the choices for everything in the road that we saw and what we did. Um, I mean, immediately whenever we watched the press conference to kick off WrestleMania, I said I saw the tag match coming from a mile away, and at that point, the "We Want Cody" hashtag took over, trended for 72 hours, and then that led to them changing it, which it it's cool that we the fans can do that, and it shows that we do have some power in what Triple H is going to listen to
Right.
us and watch us. And as
Right.
London says, he sits there on Twitter with his burner accounts and watches what we say. And there's no doubt that they do take that into account. What the fans are saying. So yeah, I don't know. It was fine to me. I enjoyed it from start to finish. It was
Yeah.
right around an hour, so it was like I think I ended up watching it and watching that, and then like a couple of other movies on the 4th of July. So that's what I spent my fourth doing up
Yeah.
until I did my podcast, and I went back and watched the rest of it. Um, but
Yeah, and
to
the thing is, I'm sorry to cut you off
go,
again, Nick.
go ahead.
The other thing is, I just want to make one point before we move on. I want to make one point. The reason why they focus on The Rock and Triple H is because of the threats that you all made to The Rock's daughter.
Yeah,
Also, is one of the reasons why they focus on those two because you were the fans, not anybody else. You were the fans that were so outraged and you were so angry that you took it to a whole new level on X and Twitter where the woman had to turn off her social media platforms. So you all are fickle. You all don't know what you want, and you really should not be wrestling fans. You really, really shouldn't. To be honest with you. You want me to be perfectly honest with you.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's a crazy sad place. Is the wrestling fandom. It sucks at sometimes, especially with last year with the everything about WrestleMania and whatnot. It just it everyone was still gonna watch it no matter what. So it's like, why is everyone complaining? Why are we taking it to extreme measures, to death threats to Ava, signs about The Rock and whatever. It just that's why wrestling fans are looked at as the way that we're looked at. But then there
Yeah,
were the
and
ones that just enjoyed it, that just lay down and enjoyed it. We, shut,
yeah,
as The Rock said, shut your mouth and enjoy the road the Rock is the ride that The Rock is taking you on. And I said that pretty much every week that I was on SmackDown or Raw whenever he showed up, because I said it from me being a newer fan, only watching for 5 years and not ever seeing The Rock be The Rock and everything, and I got a taste of that with the final boss, which um is was fantastic, week in and week out. And it, I mean, he said it in the doc. He said that, he's an actor, he's an entrepreneur, he's a businessman, but he doesn't want to be known as that. He doesn't want to be known as, a politician candidate or whatever. He is a wrestler through and through,
yeah.
and that it showed with what he was able to do throughout his last run, leading up to WrestleMania. The energy that he brought, every time he came out and he did his thing, I got chills from it. So I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it. And I can't wait for him to come back and finish, the bloodline, Civil War. Is he going to be with Roman and the Usos? Is he not? Is he the one behind Solo? Um, there's so many. The podcast that Mitch had sent us in the group chat, they had said we're probably in like the top of the fifth now, from last year's WrestleMania, where Heyman said we're in the bottom of the third. I think we're in the top of the fifth now.
Yeah.
With the whole bloodline saga.
Yeah, going into the sixth inning. Yeah.
But going back to SmackDown, the main event match, the WWE Tag Team Championship, DIY defeated A Town Down Under, and we called it. We said they were changing hands. They finally did it. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, they're going to go into Cleveland as the champs. Um,
Hmm.
Gargano is going to go into Cleveland, his hometown, as a tag champ. I'm happy for them, and it's going to be great, and we can finally see um, the the continuation of Theory and Waller, and finally see their split, because I'm just tired of it at this point. So what did you think of the main event, the title switch, and who do you think the first challenger should be for DIY's tag team championship?
Well, I thought the split. I knew the split was going to happen. That I knew. That I called. That I called immediately, and I knew the tag team titles were going to change hands. I called that as well. Um, their first opponents. Now that's a good question. That's a great question, because there are some good tag teams. Especially there's Aldado del Fantasma, which they need a push desperately, because they're boring as heck. Um, then we have the Street Profits, which is good. And as I said earlier, we need the Street Profits to have a split. So this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm going to say. If it comes to fruition or if it doesn't, but I think that they should challenge DIY for a match. And the stipulation is, if they lose the match, they split for good. And they need to go away with that. They need to go away with that. And so I'm gonna say maybe the Street Profits at SummerSlam.
Okay. So given what we talked about with your how you would book it and everything like that, I can definitely get behind that. I'm okay with the Profits as a team, so I don't necessarily want to see them split. But
Okay.
it would be a good change of pace if it were to happen. So I wouldn't have an issue with it. Um, I know I'd asked this earlier today on Facebook, and someone had said do a turmoil match at SummerSlam. Build up some actual tag teams, or Berto and uh, and Garza, give them a chance, throw them into a
Right.
couple matches, have them win. I think that's important though. You got to have tag teams actually winning matches, so then they can be in that matchup with DIY. I mean, obviously the Profits just won tonight, so have them keep winning. Um, and then if they get a shot, they get a shot. I don't see anyone beating DIY in Cleveland.
No.
So you know it'll be fun to actually see the tag team division getting some spotlight, and I hope that the women's tag team division follows suit with that. Um, but that is, and then that was the main event of SmackDown. The titles do change hands, and then of course we had the vignette from Solo Sikoa, the promo that he cut. He called out Roman Reigns for losing the legacy of the bloodline, and with the title at WrestleMania. Um, and then said he was going to take it back from Cody, and then if Roman wanted it back, he would have to take it from Solo. Basically, he also said Roman wasn't man enough to keep it away from Cody. So that is being what is like cycling through Twitter for the more to build it up more and more. I'm seeing clips from last year's Money in the Bank whenever Solo barked an order at Roman, and he listened to him or whatever, and Roman is in the ring showing that emotion. So I mean, I'm excited for Roman's return overall, but it is that first feud when Roman comes back. Do you think it has to be Roman and Solo? Should they do that at SummerSlam if they were to do Cody and Randy, to kind of keep Solo away from the title, because it's like he hasn't had that many wins. So how do you A, put him in the title picture, and then B, how do you have him win it whenever he hasn't really done anything besides being
Right.
physically dominant through taking out being part of a group that takes out the top three baby faces on the blue brand. But yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, Roman and Solo or Roman and Cody. What are you thinking for SummerSlam?
Well, I well, they keep teasing about Orton and Cody at SummerSlam. They keep teasing that. So I'm going to assume, because again, like I said, Gunther is supposed to go after the title. He's supposed to
Well,
go
the
after the
Raw
title on Raw. Yeah,
the
on
Raw
Raw.
title. Yep.
But there's an asterisk next to his title reign, his crown, and we still haven't had that addressed. So. I'm going to assume at some point before we get to SummerSlam that controversy will be answered. And I believe that he's going to defeat Gunther for that crown, and that means that he would be going after Cody.
Okay.
But that takes care of that. That's going to take care of that. As far as when Roman comes back, I think the first thing he needs to do is address Solo and his nefarious means and his whack group known as the Bloodline. He needs to address that because, like I said, he put Heyman on the shelf, he put Jimmy on the shelf, and I'm quite sure that they're not above a means to put Roman on the shelf if he interferes. So um, it's just something else, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and that can lead into right now it would be the 4 for Bloodline 2.0 against the 3 if they do reunite Roman and the Usos, 4 from Bloodline OG. Do they have Sammy come back in and be honorary use and whatnot, and yeah, no, that was yeah, no.
no, we gotta get rid of that. Sorry
um
about that. I
I,
clicked on it by accident.
I don't know who that. I was looking to see if that's on my channel. It wasn't. I would have blocked it immediately.
I'll
Well, I
get rid
guess
of
I
this
still
fool.
can from I still can from
I
StreamYard.
delete.
So, yep,
I deleted
yep,
the comments. Bye bye.
yep. I banned them as well.
That's right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, you could, you bring Sami Zayn back into it to be the fourth, OG bloodline.
Right.
There's two more Fatus out there, Zilla and
Right.
Hikaru, or however you say his name.
Hikaleo.
Um, yep. I don't think Zilla is quite ready yet. I think he's only been, in the ring for like a year, so he might not
Right.
be at that level. Um, but it can't be much longer with that. So, Sami Zayn
No.
being the placeholder up until then, that would give him something to do after he loses the Intercontinental title to Broad Breaker tomorrow night. Because
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure that the honorary Oos is not going to be feeling pretty oosy after tomorrow night. He's going to have his insides turn right side out with a couple spears from Braun Breaker.
Yeah,
I'm putting
he's
that
gonna be
out there
mush.
right now. Um, so yeah, I mean that's the way it seems like you could go with a couple different variations of the routes to go, but that was SmackDown. It was like we said, we both gave it an A. It was a great go home show. The card was good, good pace, good matches, good wrestling, good storytelling. It did everything that it needed to do. And hopefully Money in the Bank continues because I'm more excited about Money in the Bank than I was excited about Forbidden Door. Not just because I don't watch New Japan, so I didn't know who half of the people were. Besides, like, from this is the third year they've done it, so I'm starting to learn, but I'm not starting to care yet because, like, why would I? I don't watch New Japan, so
Right.
it just I was talking with a couple guys about Mercedes and her match. She was outshined by Stephanie and shouldn't have won or whatever. And then Britt Baker comes back and all that stuff. So that was exciting. And then the Dynamite. I saw the promo with Britt and Mercedes. And I'm Team DMD going into All In. That
Oh, hold on,
I've
hold on 1 second. You did mention her. It is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
yeah. So I'm team DMD through and through. Not just because she's a Pittsburgh girl, a PA girl,
Yeah.
but just
Okay.
because just because I don't know. Mercedes Monet uh doesn't doesn't do anything for me. It's just Sasha Banks turned up
Neither does
Sa-
Sarah.
and Sasha Banks, that got paid and is going out there saying that she's never broke and this and that. And I think Britt cooked her in the promo that we got on
Yep.
Wednesday. Absolutely cooked her. Um and yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see how that shakes out. I know they're probably going to put 25 matches on and say that they sold 90,000 tickets. But uh, we're lucky that Aubrey Edwards can count to three without using her toes and her fingers. So they have so many issues with counting over there on the other show, the other company. But this is about the best, well, the best show to me throughout the week, SmackDown and the Blue Brand. But yeah, I mean, we're getting there at about an hour. So like I said, I had read the power rankings that were released by ESPN for the men's during the show, but they also released the tag team for the tag teams and for the women's. So I'll run through them real quick, and then just give me your thoughts on where you would move teams or talent, and then we can close it out. So I mean, I'll go over the men's again. The So this is the power rankings top 10 for the men. 6 full months into 2024. Cody Rhodes, Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, Gunther, Drew McIntyre, John Moxley, Bryan Danielson, Damian Priest, and Okada, and then MJF at 10.
I would push MJF up to the first position. Uh,
Okay.
I would push MJF up to that first after what he did this past Wednesday night. Yeah, I would push him up that point. I'd push him up there. Rhodes, I would put him at number three. I'd put him at number three. Um, Okada, Okada would be number. I give him. I'll give him number four. I give him a number four. Um, Number two. What was the other? What was the other?
Osprey
What's
was
the,
2, Swerve Strickland was 3, McIntyre was
okay,
5, Moxley is 6, Danielson is 7, Priest is 8, and then you had already said about Okada and MJF.
right. Okay, so MJF would be number one. Osprey is number two. I already said who number three was. Um, and then I would just go down the list that way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Mm,
I can agree with that. That is, I mean, that is, it's kind of shocking that MJF has been out for 6+ months throughout the year, and it was shocking that he even made the top 10, given that he's only been back for what a month, if that, 2 months maybe. But yeah, I mean, I like the rest of that list that you had said. I don't have an issue with Cody, with that top three. It surprises me that Osprey is over Strickland, given that Strickland is the world champion over there.
right,
Seth Rollins not being on the list is kind of crazy to me. Um,
right,
Roman Reigns not being on here is crazy to me, but I guess it's based. I mean, I would say it's based on active and activity, but again, MJF was gone for 6 months for the year, so um, I mean that's that for the men's in singles. Then you have the tag teams. So I know you and Sarah both are not going to like this. Number one is the Young Bucks. Number two is FTR. Number two is FTR. Number three is the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough. Number four is the NXT Tag Team Champions, Nathan Frazier and Axiom. Number five is A Town Down Under. Number six is Bianca and Jade. And number seven is the new WWE Tag Team Champions, DIY. And then you have 8 at the Street Profits, House of Black at 9, and the Acclaimed at 10.
okay. All right. Uh, of course, DIY number one. The Bucks number 10. Uh, the Bucks number 10. And everybody else moved them up.
Okay. So you're switching 1 and 10, and then just shifting everyone up from there. Well, 1 and 10 are switched. You're putting 7 at 1, and then you just move 8 or 9 to 2 up. I got it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, got
I
it.
got it. I'm sure Sarah would agree.
And yes, and
see
she would
her-
agree with that assessment. Yes.
I could see her putting the Bucks at like 25 or something like that. Somewhere that's out of range for operating rooms to count to. That is for sure.
Oh, God.
Oh man. So now we have the power rankings for the women's. This one shocked me with who's on the list, and not really who's on the list, I guess, but just who number 1 is and who number 10 is. So number 1 is Bailey. Number 2 is Tony Storm. Number 3 is Jordan Grace. 4 is Mercedes Moné. 5 is Bianca Belair. 6 is Liv Morgan. 7 is Willow Nightingale. 8 is Mayu Iwatani. 9 is Roxanne Perez, and 10 is Rhea Ripley.
The only person on that list that I would move is Rhea Ripley at number 3.
Okay, so are you switching her and Jordan Grace from just
Right.
straight?
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I don't have any complaints really. Besides, I would probably agree. I would go Rhea number 1, and then just move.
Okay.
I would go Rhea number 1 and move the list down, but put
Okay.
Liv. I would put Liv over Mercedes, And
Okay.
switch. I would switch Jordan Grace with Bianca. So Tony Storm can
Okay.
stay at 2 because she's doing great stuff as the
Right.
women's champion. She keeps winning. She's doing the best, some of the best stuff
So you wouldn't
that
put Liv
I've
at
seen from
one.
her at least. Huh?
You wouldn't put Liv at one.
Uh,
Yeah. Do you? Let me ask you a question. Here's an important question. I always ask people. Do you like the days of Liv?
of course I do. I like the days. I
um.
like the nights. I like the afternoons. I like the evenings. I like the Sundays, the Mondays, the Tuesdays, the
Okay.
Wednesdays, Thursdays,
Okay.
Fridays,
So
and Saturdays.
so
Um,
I asked her. That's what I got laced from it.
but I would say Rhea at 1 just because she's been on a tear from wrestle for a year plus. I know she got
Right.
hurt. It sucks.
Right.
And Liv did the best she could in doing. They did the feud right away, but Rhea got hurt, so Liv, takes the title, and now we know that they're going to continue the feud whenever Rhea is healthy. So I would right now I would say Rhea at 1, Liv at 2, and you could this is halfway through. So what Rhea did halfway through up until she got hurt, and what Liv has done since then to now, I would say 1 and 2, and then whenever
Okay.
they have their next match, whoever wins that match then would take over the number 1 spot, and then you can fill in the loser wherever. Um, but Roxanne Perez at 9, I would say Roxanne, would be my top 15. I could,
Okay.
I would put Becky Lynch over Roxanne Perez. I know Roxanne is a champion, so that's probably why they did that.
Right.
But that's me. Same with Bianca. Jade not being on the list is surprising.
Right.
Um, and that's pretty much the other name that like popped into my head right away. But I mean, this will be fun for later in the year whenever I do the second annual Sleepy Awards, where Hunter and I give out awards to Wrestler of the Year, Champion of the Year, Show of the Year, and all that stuff.
And
So
don't forget the boringest match of the year. Don't forget that.
yeah, no, AOP, Carrying Cross, they have that pretty much all locked down, and under wraps. They are greener than Omos. I think.
Oh yes, and we all know, as we all know, ladies and gentlemen, you can trend this worldwide. Omas and of course Satnam Singh are as green as never mind.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all I have to run through. We did SmackDown. We did the power rankings, which I always enjoy doing that. I know it's tough to do with wrestling, with it's scripted, blah blah blah, but I
Yeah,
enjoy it.
right.
But thank you for joining me for the first episode of the Post Bell podcast. We will continue
Thank
doing
you.
these every week as I'm switching from Dynamite weekly. Besides whenever there's Queen of the Ring, then I'll be back on Wednesdays. But I'm switching to Friday permanently, and then we will run through the rotation and do this right at 10:20. Um, uh, Probably next week for sure. The 19th maybe I might have to either find you know someone else to do it. Maybe Mitch can do it. Whoever is doing SmackDown, actually no, because him and I are both gone from SmackDown that week. We're away, so maybe you can run it with whoever you get to host SmackDown on the 19th.
Yeah, I believe it'll be me and Martina. Me and
Okay.
Martina will be taking over on
Okay.
Friday nights, but while you guys are
Yep.
on vacation,
Yep.
we'll be taking over that
Yep.
telecast.
So
I did
yep.
agree to that. So,
Yep, I
um,
will. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to do the post show, I can still set it up. I can put your channels on,
yes,
and we can go from there. I'll schedule it for sure for the 19th still, and then whoever wants to do it can do it. This is Mitch and I we threw it around it for me to start it. but it's for the network. So really, anyone can be a part of it. Anyone can host it. So we can always move it around, and we have so many people, so many great people on our teams and rosters
Right.
of creators for the wrestling side of the Hardcore Sports Network. So we can of course figure that out. I will be up at my dad's. I have a golf tournament. I actually have a golf tournament next weekend and on the 20th, and then Jake Paul also fights on the 20th. So I have so much going on in the month of July, as well as Heat Wave and Money in the Bank this weekend, and then NXT. Like I said, I told Mitch and I told you I will be on Dynamite for the rest of this month. So the 10th, 17th, 24th, and the 31st, you're stuck with me on Dynamite, and then after starting in August, I will just be on SmackDown. So I'm excited to see Blood and Guts, and then the fallout for that the week after that, and then from there, just whenever there is the Queen of the Ring, and I need to fill in for Sarah. So
Yeah, and Sarah will be doing the Queens of the Ring
yep,
on the 16th of
yep,
July.
yep.
We're going to do that on the 16th, and then you'll be stepping in and you'll be sitting with me doing AEW Dynamite that Wednesday night, and then Sarah will be back for the wrestling experience. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So that is kind of what I got going on. NXT Tuesdays, WNBA podcast on Thursdays, SmackDown on Fridays. For the rest of this month, Dynamite on Wednesdays. So we kind of know your schedule. You're locked into Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the pay-per-views. So
Right.
we can, like I said, the 19th, if you and Martina want to do the Post Bell podcast, by all means, I'll set it up. I'll put the channels on, and then
Oh
all
yeah,
you
no
got to
problem.
do is hit go live and knock them out of the park. So
All right.
that is going to do it for the first episode of the Post Bell podcast, presented by Nick Weitoish, the Hardcore Sports Network, and Sleeper Sports Media. Earl Cole joined me. Thank you again, and we will
Thank
see you
you.
next time. Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow night.